The Razer Blade 16 has been the most premium gaming laptop for the longest time. It combines stealth and style with a surprising amount of power, all in a thin body. But these laptops are not perfect, and especially last year's model had quite some issues. So is the 2026 Blade 16 worth it again? Let's find out. And please like and subscribe if you like these type of videos. From the outside, the Blade 16 is easily the most premium feeling Windows laptop out there. It has a fully aluminum body from top to bottom, and this is thick aluminum. I wouldn't be surprised if you could stop a bullet with this thing, or kill someone with it. I really like this black color with the green logo. While it's not the stealthiest design, it is simply iconic. And with it being able to light up, it just completes the look of a slim, sleek machine. Unfortunately, Razer still hasn't discovered fingerprint-resistant coatings though. So it's gonna look cool for exactly 2 minutes, after which you'll be wiping it clean for the rest of your life. Now, for a gaming laptop, the Blade 16 is thin. And with it having an aluminum unibody construction, you've basically got no panel gaps, which makes it feel extra premium. And while that aluminum does make it slightly heavier than other thin gaming laptops, this thing is still very much lightweight and portable. But inside that thin body are some monster specs. With a new Intel 300 series chip and a full-fat RTX 5080, this puppy will crush anything you throw at it. That new Ultra 9 means it'll be fast in apps and gaming, but still should mean it has great battery life. And paired with that high wattage 5080, even the newest, heaviest games should run great at the highest settings. But of course, like always, we'll have to see if it can actually reach those high wattages. The Blade 16 has a very wide selection of ports, which is nice to see on a thinner laptop. I do think the HDMI port should have been on the left side, but this is a pretty minor complaint. It comes with a 280 watt power brick, which should be plenty for this guy's components. And like previous years, it still has that 90-degree connector, which is handy if you put it like this, and useless if you put it like this, because it's blocking a bunch of bottom ports. It is a sturdy connector though. I don't think this thing will break anytime soon. The power brick is large, but you can use a smaller charger for emergencies, since it supports USB-C charging up to 100 watts. Now let's take a look at its keyboard. In my opinion, this is, and has been for a while, the prettiest keyboard on any laptop. It has a per key RGB backlight, which means you can address each key individually, so you can create some very pretty looking effects. And the brightness and contrast of these LEDs are just top class. There's really nothing like it. The keyboard itself doesn't have a numpad, but it does have these 5 programmable macro keys, which is nice. And another cool thing is that when you press the FN key or the Shift key, it highlights your options, which is actually quite handy. Now here's how it actually types. It feels great to type on. Razer is an experienced keyboard manufacturer of many years, so they know how to make them well. It's got plenty of key travel and the keys are nice and clicky. My only complaint here is that you might accidentally press the power button instead of the delete key. But it's actually a bit harder to press it down accidentally, and you'll get used to this position eventually. Moving down, we have its trackpad. And it is definitely big enough, which you love to see. It's made of glass, so it feels very sturdy, and the clicks are nice too. You do need a bit more force to press it down, but this is a premium feeling trackpad, and it doesn't really rattle. Moving up, we have its display, and at least on paper, this is about the best screen you can have on a laptop. It has a gorgeous OLED panel, which means you've got very pretty colors, infinite contrast, and perfect inky blacks. It's got a high resolution, so you're not going to see any pixels, even if you sit really close to your display. And 240 Hz is, again, as smooth as it gets. So even the most competitive games will look awesome on here. And this year's panel has a way brighter display, going all the way up to 1100 nits, which is very bright. But then, just like last year, Razer still hasn't put any kind of anti-reflective coating on this thing. I mean, high brightness doesn't do much when you're looking at a literal mirror most of the time. And this is not just under sunlight. If you're wearing a slightly brighter t-shirt, or if you're white, you will see yourself constantly, regardless of if you're sitting near a window or in sunlight. It's just so disappointing, because matte OLED displays do exist. Hell, there's even glossy displays with great anti-reflective layers, like the ones on some Asus laptops. But instead, the Blade still has this, which is a real bummer. The display doesn't open up all the way to 180 degrees, but it does have one of the sturdiest hinges I've felt on a laptop. It's not necessarily tight, and you can still open it up quite easily with one hand, but it doesn't wobble at all and feels really nice to use. I do wish it had a bigger lip at the front to open the display though. Right now you really need to jam your nails in there to get it open. Now when it comes to speakers, gaming laptops don't really have the best track record. But thin and lights like the Blade usually put a bit more thought into that. So how does it sound? Well, it sounds awesome. The Blade 16 has dedicated subwoofers on the bottom and big speaker grills on the top. So it sounds nice and punchy and has a lot of bass, it gets really loud, and overall it just sounds nice and clear. And this is easily in the top 5 of best Windows laptop speakers. The Blade 16 has a really nice looking webcam, so if you're an online model, you're gonna love this thing. Its microphone could be better, but it sounds alright, and you can understand what I'm saying. Now, the Razer Blade has quite an annoying weakness. It's software. Razer Synapse is the app where you can see system metrics, temperatures, and set performance profiles. But it works maybe 80% of the time. Sometimes, especially if you're just launching it, it just takes a long time to load into stuff. Sometimes it doesn't launch at all. Performance profiles are locked when on battery, so you're stuck with pretty slow performance. And the keyboard lighting is also locked behind Synapse. So the custom RGB profiles you have set just won't load until you launch it, which really sucks. And sometimes it just decides not to load your profile at all. So you have to restart the entire laptop. Oh, and the profile you have set on it also doesn't load until the laptop has been on for like a minute. Can you tell I'm annoyed yet? But the most important thing about any gaming laptop is performance. And with that new Ultra 9 and an RTX 5080, how fast is the Blade? Well, in Cinebench R23, it's definitely fast. This 386H performs about the same as other similar laptops with the same chip, so it gets high single and multi-core scores. And in 3D Mark TimeSpy, we see that 5080 is really fast. It must be reaching high wattages because it's getting close to way thicker gaming laptops, which is really impressive. But unfortunately, the Blade still has an issue from last year. Once you unplug it from its charger, CPU and GPU performance take a nosedive, and it becomes noticeably slower and almost sluggish on battery. Most laptops do lose a bit of performance when you unplug them, but not by this much. I mean, it is a noticeable difference. But this is still a gaming laptop after all, so let's see how it performs in some actual games. So as you saw, the Blade 16 can game very well. Even at its high native resolution of 1600p, it got high frame rates in both CPU and GPU intensive games. But does that RTX 5080 actually reach its advertised wattages? Well, yes. While I didn't see it reach 165 watts in actual games, it frequently runs at its max wattages excluding that dynamic boost. So at least plugged in, this thing is an absolute beast, and it should be able to handle every app or game you throw at it. But like I showed before, it's noticeably slower on battery. Its CPU gets very limited without a charger. So if you want to do heavy projects or edit videos on the go, this laptop might not be your best choice. But high performance means lots of heat. So is the Blade 16 cooled well? Well, in the highest performance mode, its CPU definitely reaches its temperature limits, while the GPU actually runs pretty cool and stays nice and chilly. So while these are very high temperatures, there is a way to fix it. By turning the CPU down to its low power preset, it stays considerably cooler during gaming, and now it's actually cooled quite well. You do lose CPU performance this way, which is visible in benchmarks. But in actual games, like Cyberpunk, you only get about a 6% reduction in FPS, which is okay for most people. So you can either have this CPU running at its thermal limit, but with the maximum performance, or get a little less FPS, but with it running way cooler. But how loud is it during gaming? Well, it's pretty loud, about on par with other gaming laptops. It doesn't completely drown out a game's audio, but it for sure is very audible. In normal light use though, it's almost always silent. But how is this thing's battery life? Because it does have that new Intel chip, so does it last longer? Well, I tested its battery life in two different scenarios, under light use and during gaming. In the light use test, I played a YouTube video until its battery died, with its display at 80% brightness, at 60 Hz, and with the dedicated GPU turned off. And it does last really long, especially when you compare that to last year's Blade 16, which definitely had some issues. The Ultra 9 386H is built on the new Intel 18A process, and paired with a bunch of low power efficiency cores, it lasts very long in lighter tasks. But while 13 hours is quite long for a laptop from 2025, other laptops with this exact same chip lasted considerably longer. So again, like last year, I think Razer has some issues to solve here. In the gaming test, I played Minecraft until its battery died, with the same settings as before. And here, it doesn't really last that long. Minecraft is a pretty lightweight title, and again, other laptops with the same exact chip lasted quite a bit longer. Now, a thin body does come with compromises. Less internal space means less upgradeability. And while previous model blades were dead set on upgradable RAM, unfortunately, Razer has other priorities these days, because it has fully soldered memory, so RAM upgrades are impossible. It does still have two M.2 SSD slots though, so storage upgrades are very easy, and it also has a Wi-Fi card slot, although Wi-Fi 7 should be plenty for everyone. But now we come to the worst parts of these reviews. How much does it cost? Well, the starting price of this laptop, with a 5070 Ti, actually isn't that crazy, at around $3,500. A step above and you'll get the unit used in this video with a 5080 for around $4,000. And of course, the RTX 5090 model is around the price of a nice second-hand car. I know, $3,500 is still a lot of money for a laptop. But we are still in a RAM crisis, and compared to other laptops in the same category, this guy is cheaper. In Europe, pricing is similar, but a little more expensive, so not quite affordable. Although Razer was never affordable, so I don't know what you want. Last year's Blade 16 models are also still available, and those are a little cheaper than this year. But those models had some very weird, inconsistent performance across the board, so I wouldn't be comfortable recommending it. I'll put links for all of these in the description down below for if you want to buy them. Okay, let's get to a conclusion here. Is the 2026 Razer Blade 16 worth it? Well, yes and no. Let me explain. The Blade 16 is simply an amazing machine. It has industry-leading build quality, it looks very sleek and premium, and this one performs really well, despite it being thin, light, and portable. It for sure is better than last year's Blade 16. I mean, it has a brighter display, a better CPU, longer battery life, and more consistent performance. But three big things are still holding it back: its pricing, its display, and its software. The price is simply a given. While the Razer Blade was never affordable, this got even worse with the higher RAM prices. The display is a real bummer, because the panel itself is simply amazing. But the fact that they didn't just give it the slightest coating is so dumb in my opinion. And while Razer Synapse has gotten better since last year, it still has some odd choices. Another big thing to keep in mind is that downgrade in CPU performance if you unplug it. This laptop is almost downright slow when it's on battery. So anyone that wants to do heavy workloads like edit videos or 3D projects on the go, you really can't do it on here. And this is not a bug. Razer has been doing this for a couple of years now to save battery, I guess? Look, here's my advice. If you're okay with a reflective display and with it being slower on battery, the Blade 16 is an amazing laptop. It is portable, it's well built, and it performs great in games. But it is definitely not the only laptop with that set of features. The new Zephyrus G16 is its direct competition, and it does not have those issues that I mentioned before. So which one should you get? The Blade 16 or the Zephyrus G16? Well, let's find out in the next video, where I'll be comparing these two head-to-head in full detail. I will see you all then. Bye bye.
Ой, ты долбоёб!